Now, this is how you kick off an NHL season, boys. We're back Monday. The NHL regular season starts tomorrow. And the biggest news of the, if you want to count it, off season, just got announced as Connor McDavid has re-upped for 2 years at $12.5 million.
Hmm.
It just got announced probably, 10, 15 minutes ago-ish?
At this
And
point, yeah, more or less.
yeah. So what a way to start the show to have
Yep.
this type of conversation now. And we'll get to other stuff in a bit with the Flames and stuff, but we have to talk about this first. Neil, you just reacted to it. You literally just jumped on and we just started the live right now. So let's see your pure instant reaction to McDavid's 2-year extension.
Well, I described it on Twitter as a kick the can down the road kind of thing because it was obvious that everything else that was going to happen next offseason was going to be determined by what McDavid does. And so now that he's locked up, so to speak, for at least another 2 seasons after this year, that will kind of maybe start a little bit more of a kind of like a trend for a lot of other teams moving forward. But clearly to me, what I see from this is the clock is again ticking for the Edmonton Oilers and also Connor
If
McDavid.
it didn't start ticking beforehand, it's
Now it
friggin'
did.
on now.
It kind
It's
of feels
on.
almost like a warning kind of signing from
It's
McDavid's
such a
side,
warning
where
shot.
it's like,
It
all
is.
right, let's have everybody chill out for a little bit longer about like, okay, I'm going to be here
This
for the
is
next
it. Like,
3 seasons, but this is it. Like, we got to figure it out. And so now with, the Oiler brass and McDavid,
yeah,
it's go time. I mean, your window with
is right
McDavid and trying to win a
now.
cup is now extended 2 years and it's 3 years now. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And, the thing about it is that when I saw that it was originally going to be a short-term deal, I thought short in my brain was like
4
4
years.
years.
Like
My
Matthews.
original prediction was like 4 years, 16 million per year. That's
Yeah.
how I looked at it. That's what I thought.
Right.
But when we started getting, as the minutes were going by, I was like, oh, it's going to be less than Kirill Kaprizov's deal. Okay, fine. Oh, it's going to be less than 15 million. Okay. Oh, it's going to be 2 years. Oh, and then this drops. And so you look at this and you say, it's kind of a steal in the short term because $12.5 million for McDavid is
1,000%.
nothing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the clock is ticking now. Now if this doesn't get people to get up off their whats and figure this out and get themselves going,
Yes.
this is the sign. And this is a sign to every other team in the league too, that, hey, just saying, if the Oilers don't get it done in the next 3 seasons, this man, who will be 31, by the way, by the time his contract
Just going to bring that up. Yep.
The best player in the world might be available.
And he definitely takes the long-term max 8-year deal, whether it's in Edmonton or not.
For sure.
Clock's on, man. Like, I even think like this year is more important than the other 2 years because you just look at the way that it's structured right now, right? And the depending on what Florida does this year, like you don't have Barkov, you don't have Kachuk for half of the year. Whether they get them back or not might be a different story. What I think is going to be very interesting about how this is going to take place, and one thing that people like have seen all across Twitter, there's one thing that really haven't brought up that it's going to impact the next 3 years, and it's the playoff salary cap. So you can certainly adjust and add to a certain extent, but there's no more that LTIR crap.
Right.
So now with this structured salary cap, it might make it a bit more difficult for the Oilers to go out there and acquire somebody at the deadline, depending on the cap space and what that looks like. By the way, they just signed Jake Wallman to a 7x7 deal.
Sure, right. They dropped that like we got the news about, oh, McDavid's going to sign today. And then
Right.
out of nowhere, it was, oh, by the way, we're giving Jake Wallman a 7x7, which,
That can't go unnoticed either now, because now
yeah.
all of a sudden, like, it's funny. It's it's funny. It's a team friendly deal, absolutely.
Mhm.
With Draisaitl making, I think he's making 14, Bouchard
14.
making 10, right? Wallman's now making 7. So I think what's really intriguing about this, it's funny because they almost got knocked out in the first round last year, and then LA pulled in LA.
Right.
So, like, there's nothing on the defense that really gives me much hope for these guys. And in goal, you're going to have to run it back again unless they, in the next 3 years, they acquire a goalie, which I imagine at some point they'll upgrade, right?
Yep.
Like, I think this year out of all years is you got to be all in here. Yes, it's an extension for 2 more years, and I think they will be in the conversation, obviously, for the next 3 years. But this year
Mhm.
feels like this is it, because everything like around, like, with Florida getting injured, and now you have like Vegas getting a little bit better, and it seems like the power shift has gone over to the Western Conference a little bit with teams like
Sure.
Vegas, like a Dallas, like a Colorado, like a Winnipeg. And if the Oilers can get through that, I can easily sit here and say that they're better than a Toronto, they're better than a Carolina, and basically every Eastern Conference team.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's the road to get through the West, and if they find a way to get to the final, then I don't see why they can't win it all. So
Right.
it's fascinating. It's going to be really interesting to watch, because now, like, you got these 3 years, and then he could be gone.
Yeah.
He wins. Let's like if he wins, he re-ups easily.
Sure. And I think that, when I look at, I'm looking at Puckpedia and looking at the contracts that Edmonton has.
Well, let's
I
bring it up.
mean,
Yeah.
here's here's the thing, right? You have Leon Draisaitl, who's the highest paid player on the team, making 14 million long term. Then you have McDavid at 12 and a half for this year and the following 2 years. And then there's a massive dip. In this is just from the forwards. The next highest paid player, which Kyle will show on the screen, is Zach Hyman, who's going to be on LTIR to start the year because we don't know when he honestly will be back. So you're paying
Right.
a bunch of guys basically chump change beyond your top two players. And then when you go to the defense, I mean, you're paying Evan Bouchard north of 10. You're paying Darnell Nurse just
Nurse.
under 10. And then again, massive drop, but you're going to sign Jake Wallman. Now he's going to get 7. So your top 3 defensemen are making $7+ million long term.
And
And
Ekholm is making 6 this year.
Ekholm is making 6, right? The only guys that are barely getting paid are the goaltending right now, with
Right.
Stuart Skinner making just over 2 and Calvin Pickard making 1 million on the dot. Both of them, by the way, Kyle, are both unrestricted free agents at season's end.
Right.
So you bring up a very good point that out of the 3 years that the Oilers have right now with McDavid and trying to win a cup, with everything else that's going on in the league, this has to be the year, honestly, because if you can't get past if you can't get past the Western Conference, and if you're not even in the final and you don't get it done, the next 2 years are going to be a lot more questionable because other teams in this league, not just in the West, but over in the East as well, are
Yeah.
going to continue to get better. Are going to continue to find ways to get better with the salary cap going up, being able to afford not only to sign big contracts, but to keep guys around as opposed to in the past
Yeah.
where they weren't able to do as much. So you nailed it on the head. I mean,
I
they got to do
can't
it, and they got
yeah,
to
I
do
c
it
I
now.
can't recall there ever being a point in time where an organization has had this much pressure now put on them to go win the cup, ever. I don't think I've ever seen it before, right?
Mhm.
Because what, like, you think about the longevity of, like, his time in Edmonton, like, there's still a world where he may never win. That's the type of league this
Sure.
is. You could be the best player in the world. Look at Ovechkin for the majority of his career.
Right.
He didn't win until super late in his career,
Right.
right? Like you
Right.
think about all the greats that have gone through and who haven't won. There is a possibility that he just doesn't win. So,
Right.
but again, I think it just speaks to like the money, like you're putting this, there's so much money putting on, like your defense is your defense for the next 3 years, right? Where you
Right.
have Bouchard, um, Darnell Nurse, and now Jake Wallman, right? Those are
Mhm.
your three guys. Those are the front loaders there on defense, right? And with Hyman, I can't remember how long he's out for. Do you know?
Not off the top of my head, no. I
Okay.
can. I'll see if I can find it.
Hyman's actually making great money for the next 3 years in
Oh yeah.
terms of like, keeping it affordable. Um, so it's funny because like I wonder, you got Nuge at 5 through the
Right.
duration of this deal. You
Mhm.
got Frederick at 3 for the duration
Ugh.
of the next 8 years, which is
Which we all thought was
ridiculous.
bad, but now with the cap going up, it's like whatever.
It's whatever, but
Yeah.
still, you're locked into having him on your bottom 6, right?
Right.
Mangiapane he'll be there for at least the next 2 years. Whether they want to buy him out or not, it's a different story. Henrique there for 1 more year, so like they can play around with it, but the bulk, like my point being, is the bulk of this team has already been made, which
Sure.
is silly to say, but my point being, like, in terms of acquisitions, like who can you go out there and acquire at a deadline where you're going to
Right.
be able to fit under the cap, and who's going to be able to make maybe a better difference? Like, are you going to be able to go out there and find like a guy who can play the 4-5 slot there on defense,
Yep.
who is a veteran not making a lot of money, right? Like, I'm just curious, like, but also too on the flip side of it, now that it puts so much pressure on this team, other teams around the league are now the Oilers have now been putting themselves on notice, and now other teams are going to realize this and go, all right, like, guess I know who we're not. Like, why would you want to make a deal with Edmonton? Because you know
Right.
what their plan is for the next 3 years.
Right. Right. And you don't
So
want to
I
help. You don't want to help
no,
them.
if you're a
No.
Western Conference team, why
No.
would you help them?
Nope. No.
Eastern Conference team, fair enough, I get it.
Maybe.
But
I
if I'm
mean,
a
if
playoff team or trying to contend a playoff position in the West, why would I make a deal with Edmonton now for the next three
exactly.
years? I know what the plan is.
Yeah. I I would just say that, and this may be controversial to some, but I think if you are Stan Bowman, I think you should have made it clear that either you're going to go into the season without a deal and basically make it, this year a bust, or
Right.
sign him long term. I just think that a 2-year deal, while great, now you have the best player in the world locked up for the next 3 seasons. As we just saw with their salary cap situation, even with the cap going up, moving forward, I just feel like the Oilers, if they don't get it done in those 3 years, they're just going to be in a worse position financially and player wise than where they are even now. Like, the reason that I would argue that you could have just gone into the year with McDavid on that expiring deal and just go with it is because then you would have every excuse in the book to throw all of your eggs into one basket this year. Be as
Right.
aggressive as possible. And if it doesn't work, right? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And you just have to live with it. You have to live with that. But at least from a team building perspective, Kyle, you still would have Leon Draisaitl long term and several other guys. And you would save roughly 15 to $20 million in cap space per year. I get it. He's the best player in the world.
Right.
But at some point, when you have a core of guys and you're not getting it done, at some point you have to maybe make the hard decisions to say, you know what, we got to try something else. And look at some of the teams that we've seen do this, right? Look at Toronto now. They're entering into semi kind of a new world, right? They've broken up the core to an extent with Mitch
Don't for
Marner.
Well, Ashley, that's amazing that you
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
Matthews is now under the same contract as in terms of term with
As,
McDavid.
as McDavid, right?
Both of those guys, there's a possibility that both of those guys hit free agency. I don't think it's out of the realm that
I don't think so.
if Matthews doesn't get it done here in the next 3 years, if McDavid doesn't get it done in the next
Oh
three
yeah,
years, all of a sudden both of those guys end up on
right.
free agency. I think Matthews has 3 years left now on his 4-year deal, doesn't he?
Yep. He has 3 years left going into
Bro,
this year. Yep. And that's the thing, right? And a deal like that, and in a situation that a lot of these teams are, they're looking at what McDavid just did, and a lot of GMs are sweating. A lot of GMs are sweating. And you think about some of the teams that have been able to lock down guys long term.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Minnesota, right? If you're Minnesota, you have to take somewhat of a sigh of relief that you got the Kirill Kaprizov deal done before this McDavid thing happened. And the only reason I say that is because I think it would have created a little bit of concern on Minnesota's end, because if Kirill can see, oh, he could still make bank for only 2 years and then go be a free agent again, especially if he orchestrated it the same way. Can you imagine if Kirill had signed a 2-year extension and then all of a sudden we're looking at the potential of McDavid, Matthews, Kaprizov, 3 of the best players in the league, all free agents in 2028? Like, that's what I'm saying, right? Like that to me is
Right.
the whole thing for the Oilers is, I don't know if they pushed for a long-term deal. I assume they did. But
that was definitely. It was 100%,
how much control? I think,
1000%. It was talked about.
yeah, and I think McDavid had more control over this than people realize, because McDavid
He's got
knows where
them
he's at.
by the
Right,
balls.
exactly. And so McDavid, well, yeah, that post he posted on Twitter, which is weird. I didn't even realize he had a Twitter till today, apparently. He was like, "Oh, I'm back in Edmonton," everything. It's like, yeah, but again, you're signed for
You're
3 years,
not.
bud.
Like, you are, but
Right,
you're
but you're
not, you
not.
know?
If you had signed for 7 or 8 years, okay, great. You could post this lovely thing and basically say that you're contractually here
Committed.
for the long term,
Yeah.
but you're not.
He's
And
not.
that's where the pressure, now all of a sudden in that locker room, that whole team says, well, we have essentially 3 seasons to figure this out, but 3 seasons is going to go by like that. And if you're not
Like,
careful, this could be a disaster very quickly.
there's a couple of instances where you look back, right? And you look at the best players in the league and you look at their times when they went on cup runs of their own, right?
Mhm.
So I'll use Crosby as an example
I
here.
was just going to think, why don't we
Right.
use Crosby
Let's
as
use
the
Crosby
best
as an
example?
example here. So
Yeah,
back 08, 09, it was the back-to-back cup finals. Not like he ended up winning one, but it was back-to-back cup finals,
sure,
right?
sure.
The next time he made the Stanley Cup final was what? 2015,
2016.
2016.
Mhm.
Right. 7 years later.
10 years later.
So things can I'm not disputing the fact that obviously him and Draisaitl have the ability to carry this team through the playoffs. They've done it before.
Yep.
But as we've seen so many times in the NHL, things happen, man. Like, you've
Yeah.
already been there back to back. It's tough to get there, right? Like, that's why I bring up with LA, like as bad as they were 4 games in a row in the first round, they almost took out Edmonton in the first round of the playoffs, right?
Yep.
Like, was like Dallas not really playing as well against Edmonton back-to-back conference finals. Like, what happens if Colorado comes in play? Does McKinnon all of a sudden take over? Like, does the Avalanche get better? Like, he's still in the prime of his era and he's looking to deny that. So the
Right.
Stars are, at a point too where they might still try to load up and deny him of that too. So, like, ultimately, like, you see a lot of the greats in the league, you only get so many shots, man, because there's
Right.
no guarantee you get there every single year. I'm going to make the assumption that they probably get there one more time. I can't. If I were to bet my life on it, I think that he probably gets the job done here in the next 3 years.
I don't feel that same way personally.
You really? Okay.
I don't, because I think the Western Conference is only going to get better. And again, Kyle, I keep repeating it. I know I sound like a broken record, but it is really true.
Sure.
With the salary cap going up, it's going to open up the door for so many teams to make moves that maybe a couple years ago they wouldn't have felt as comfortable making.
Right.
In terms of making their team better.
Right.
In terms of improving things, right?
But also, and sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that teams are only going to be more motivated to want to obviously beat the Oilers because of this situation. And the other thing is this, Kyle, you just brought up a very good point. How much better can the Oilers honestly get from a roster standpoint when you have so much money invested in about 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The
Yep.
thing about it is that, and again, are Western Conference teams going to want to play ball with Edmonton in trade negotiations? No, they're going to make it difficult. They're going to make it difficult. And then with the salary cap situation when it comes to the playoffs, another issue. And again, as we've said before, it is so hard to even get to one final, let alone two. They've done it 2 years in a row, and they didn't get it done either time. They've gotten oh so close, but haven't gotten there.
Yep.
And physically, how demanding that is. Because look at least with Florida, they won back-to-back cups. Now they have the injury problem, but they have the 2 cups. What if one of them, I'm not wishing this at all, but what if somebody important on the Oilers gets hurt and they just
It's a
struggle?
factor.
I
It's a
mean, it's a
factor.
factor.
Yeah.
These guys have played deep into June the last 2 years and haven't come out with anything. How much does fatigue play into an account? How much does the physical toll? And again, here's another factor, Kyle. We have the Olympics as well. And a lot of those guys, a lot of those main guys on Edmonton are going to play in the Olympics. McDavid for sure, Draisaitl for sure.
Yep.
I would say probably Evan Bouchard. I'd say probably maybe Darnell Nurse potentially. Those are guys that are going to be there, and you don't want to have like a John Tavares situation back in 2014 where he gets hurt on an innocent play and he's done for the year, and that killed the Islanders season like that. It was over by that point. And so those are all the factors to me that make it hard for me to believe as much as maybe other people would, because while McDavid can win you a lot of games on his own because he is that way, this is a team sport at the end of the day, and other guys have to step up. And I am just and the goaltending problem is still there. I like, we can't ignore the fact that that has been a problem.
Yeah.
And so how much of that McDavid magic is gonna be enough to get them to where they want to go? And that is not only to get back to the finals for the 3rd consecutive season, but to get over that hump and win the cup. I just, from my own perspective, I just don't see that happening.
I think, I mean, again, it's this year, right? Because like,
right.
I mean, hey, there's still a world in Florida in which Barkov is just ready for the playoffs. And if they get there, right? And who knows, like that's what I'm saying. Also, like when you like, I think you bring up a good point too. Last thing, and then we'll get to the Flames. It's funny how Florida came out of nowhere, right? After the Tkachuk deal, right? And they just, they just hit their stride.
Right.
There's going to be a point where someone else is going to hit their stride at some point along the way here, right? Sure. So, but everybody in the team,
by the way, Florida's been to 3 consecutive finals in a row.
Right. Every team, though, to wrap this up, now has their eyes on Edmonton because it's now an open playbook. Right? Yeah. They've now exposed this is our window for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to watch, man. One of those teams trying to beat the Oilers in this Western Conference is the Calgary Flames, which is why we do this show. So we're going to get final roster announcements today. The deadline is at 1 p.m. Eastern for the final roster cuts here. Or sorry.
5 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you.
Yep.
You got it.
But again, and just want to clarify one thing. Just because the rosters are due by 5 p.m. does not mean that the team will announce it right away. They may wait an hour, the next hour. I mean, it all depends. And some teams, it's going to be interesting to see who makes what the final roster cuts are and everything like that, including Calgary, who certainly had some interesting moves over the last couple of days.
Yeah, so one of them being Solovyov, who all of a sudden gets claimed by the Colorado Avalanche. So let's get into like a couple of the questionable. I don't know. Like, I guess my first question is like, did they make the right move waiving Solovyov and then he gets claimed by Colorado? Did they Colorado make the right move?
Yeah, it reminds me so much of It reminds me similarly to when numerous years back, the New Jersey Devils put Scott Wedgwood on waivers, and he ended up getting picked up by Arizona and played in Dallas as well, and became actually a very, very reliable backup goaltender. And a lot of people in New Jersey were like, "Oh, was it the right move to let him go and expose him that way?" And I'm not saying the same thing's going to happen here with Solovyov, but I was very surprised, Kyle, when
Sure.
they announced that he was on waivers.
I think it's annoying just because, like, you're keeping guys like Jake Bean and Miramanoff who like aren't part of the future, and I would be okay with them going. I just don't
Mhm.
understand for a guy who was a seventh rounder who you really developed and like listen, like I don't like the fact that a lot of the Flames fans got like I understand being upset,
Yeah.
but this isn't somebody who's going to be like who's going to break the bank
Yeah.
necessarily. And he's kind of shown that, right? Like
Mhm.
if anything, like maybe he becomes top 4 somewhere.
Right.
And that's stretching it pretty far, right?
Right.
If he can become a reliable fifth, sixth liner, okay, fair, but like you can kind of place those around fairly. Like you can go around and look at free agency and go pick up guys who you think can play that 5-6 within the system that you're trying to play.
Right.
So like it's not a major loss. I'm just more frustrated at the fact that it's like, why are you keeping guys like Miramanoff and Bean over somebody like him who could use more NHL minutes? I just don't
Right.
understand it. But for him, like Colorado's been decimated a little bit on the like they're not as deep defensively outside of the obvious names at top. Like they're more looking for that depth. So it's a
Mhm.
good pickup for Colorado. I just can't. I kind of scratch my head a little bit as to why him and not a Bean or a Miramanoff.
It we obviously don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Maybe they wanted to keep more experience, I guess, maybe on the back end. I'm not really sure. It was certainly a head scratching move, one that I don't know if I would personally do myself, but
Sure.
you're gonna have to live with it now. I mean, obviously, you I think the Flames were hoping that he would pass through waivers and he would go down to go down to the AHL, but just didn't happen. So, you know, that's just what it's going to be, and all we could do is just have faith that maybe the Flames know more than we do.
And I mean, in this case, maybe it's just Colin Roy. Who knows?
Right.
But there is some good that is going to come out of this. So, reading a lot of the reports here, one of the guys that I happen to like as well too, Wes Gilbertson. So, Huberdeau's still day to day, still getting Pospisil actually wasn't on the ice today either for the Flames morning skate. They have one more spot they have to cut, and what's fascinating is that Matvei Gridin, all signs so far are pointing towards him making the opening night roster.
Hmm.
Also, Zane Parekh appears to be making the opening night. He will be on the roster, but I don't think he's going to be on the opening night roster.
Hmm.
Now he's out there on the ice today. I don't know. There's just some. That's just from what I've read so far. But it sounds like again, regardless, Zane Parekh and Gradine have made the roster. There's still going to be one more move to be made here. We're going to find out in a couple of hours what it is going
Sure.
to be. But all signs so far are actually pointing towards Gradine making the roster. And again, that was a name that I continue to bring up, the last 2 weeks or so. Um, I think he's just been so impressive because he's dynamic and he's just bringing that kind of scoring presence, quote unquote, to this team that they've so desperately needed. And, he's somebody that I think he can slide in very easily. And, a lot of people were also arguing too that it's like, why are you sticking a bad fourth line out there when you could still give minutes to a guy like Matt Gradin when he
Right.
can go out there and try and torch up a fourth line for a couple of minutes? Who knows?
Yeah, I think Gradina has certainly made the case, a very strong case to make this roster, and quite frankly, I think he's earned it. And Gradina is the kind of guy that is embodying exactly what Ryan Huska and Craig Conroy have been talking about. There are openings on this roster, and we want to see competition. And Gradine took that in stride and really made an impact throughout this entire preseason. And I think that I want to see him on the roster because I think he's earned it. Um, as far as it goes for Zane Parekh, I mean it's interesting because watching him through this preseason, you get so excited about the possibilities that he can bring on that blue line and what he can create, especially on the power play. And you wonder if the Flames are thinking more that they don't want to rush the kid into it. I mean, again, we do have another rookie that's making a strong case of his own in Gridin, but with Zane Prek, I wonder if they value him so much that they don't want to throw him into the Wolves right away. But I
Right.
think that at times the only way you're gonna really, really get a guy to take that step that you want to see from a young player is by giving him that opportunity. We'll see. I think the Flames have certainly had some guys that have made it very interesting in terms of what they decide to do, and we'll certainly keep our eyes on everything over the next couple of hours to see what the final decisions are made.
Now, one last thing I want to bring up before we quickly go to break here is, and it needs to be, we need to have a discussion about this.
Mhm.
Um, Cooley beats out Provistev so far for the backup role in Calgary. And mainly it's because we didn't even really get a chance to talk about what happened last week when the Canucks rolled into town and just steamrolled both
Yeah.
goaltenders and ran them out of town, basically. The guys up front didn't really do a whole lot either, but like I'm kind of overseeing a little bit because it's preseason. But what worries me is that Canucks roster that they brought out, a majority of their goals and points were scored by guys who are on the everyday rosters. So
Right.
like, I'm curious, like, for you, as Provistev now gets sent down to the Wranglers and Cooley will be, it looks like he's going to be the second stringer because they didn't really make any other moves for the waiver wire.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts that Devin Cooley beat out? I mean, it's kind of shocking, honestly, that he did beat him out here. I mean, it was an open competition. I would have just assumed when they signed Provistev that he was probably going to be the guy to make the team, but it
Mhm.
was Cooley, despite both guys having a bad night last week.
This is kind of how the way I look at it. I think based off this decision, I think that Conroy and Huska, even before the preseason began, I think were favoring Cooley because of just him being around longer than Provistev has.
Mhm.
And then obviously Provistev made things less clear by how well he played in the preseason. And it was almost like they were waiting for Provistev to have a shaky enough game to justify not making him the backup. And it is unfortunate that he had that kind of game. But again, like you mentioned, you're playing against a lot of the, Canuck regulars. I mean, Quinn Hughes is just making play after play in that game, which by the way, he looks great. He looks very healthy,
For
which
sure.
is good, which is good to see for him, his perspective. But to essentially punish a guy for one bad game in this preseason when in overall he's been better than what Devin Cooley has been in the preseason. That's why I think the way that I think, because it means to me that they had an agenda. They already had it in their minds what they wanted to see. I don't agree with it, but that to me is the only logical way I can see them sending Provistev down after only one bad game against the regulars. And that might be the thing, right? They might look at it like, well, if he's struggling that much against the regulars, which again, think about the guys that were playing in front of Provistev in this game.
Yeah.
I think maybe the management was like, we'd rather go with Cooley and at least for now and go from there. I don't know. That's the best reason that I can give as to why this happened. Because other than that, I don't see a world where Provistev didn't earn the backup job this preseason.
And I think it's something to watch because again, like they are not going to get as many starts clearly as Dustin Wolf will, right? Like
Right.
obviously he is going to be the guy going forward here. With about 60 to 55 to 60 games, right? But it's just those 20 games when those backups are coming in, you're just kind of like, all right, like you almost have to pick your battles a little bit with some of the teams who are at the
You
bottom
have
of the
to pick and
barrel a
choose.
little bit. You
Yeah.
do have to kind of pick and choose, and that's the scary thing is like, well, who do you kind of pick and choose your battles with almost. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, I'm a little worried as to what it could look like, but yeah, it's just something that you can't really control either,
Right.
right?
At
Wow.
least we feel confident in the starter. We
At
got
least
that.
there's that.
Yeah, there's that,
But
right?
then if he gets injured, we're
At least
really
we
screwed.
right. At least we know 100% who our number one guy is. Like that,
Oh God, if he
we-
gets injured, we're so
oh
screwed.
yeah. Well, let's not speak that into existence, which you
Yes.
already did. But
All right, we'll get to a break, and then afterwards, Neil, we're gonna give our season predictions, standings predictions.
I'm so ready for it.
You ready? Okay,
Yeah,
let's
let's
do it.
do it.
All right, football is back, and so is your shot at big wins with DraftKings Pick Six, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Your game day instincts can score you real money fast. Here's the play: just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats from breakout rookies to elite quarterbacks, and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. If you picked the Seattle defense yesterday, I feel sorry for you. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN and play just $5 to get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. You can make the right call, ride the upside. It's in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. If you got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Voided where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Okay. It's that time of year again, man.
I'm
It
so glad
is.
because I'm so done with football, Kyle. I'm so
I
glad
am
that I can
too.
talk about
Well, you know, I,
something
I I
else.
mentioned Seattle. I was like, wow, they played well yesterday, and then I turn it on, and then Darnold decides to throw a pick at 2nd and 1 on their own 40, which was fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I
whatever.
still whatever they're gonna. I still
Football's
think
dead to me. I don't care.
it's okay.
I,
All right.
I don't. I just don't care. I
Okay.
don't.
So what I'm about to show, and for those of you that can't see, is going to be It was just somebody's prediction.
Right.
It's more or less just for the graphic, just to help us with the
Just the
standings
graphic. Yep.
wise. But a general consensus or a prediction from one of the guys that decided to make one of these predictions for the standings for each division, which
Mm-hmm.
is also what we're going to be doing. So again, it's more for just
Oh,
visual
I
purposes
know
here.
exactly whose prediction. I know exactly who this.
Ye-
This is Jay Fresh, isn't it?
I think it was, yeah.
This is Jay. I could tell. You
Yeah.
tell.
So this
Yep.
was this is anyway, again, this is just for
Yeah.
visual purposes here. These
Right.
are just one of the many predictions
Mm-hmm.
um in the league, around the league, as obviously fans are making all their predictions, just like how
Mm-hmm.
we're about to do the same. So, Neil, I'll let you pick first. Where do you want to
Mm.
start with the divisions? Where do you want to start?
Let's save the Pacific for last.
Love it.
Let's do that. So we'll go right to left just because we're here and it just makes it easier. We'll start with the Eastern Conference, start with the Atlantic, and then
Okay.
go from right to left. So
Love it.
I think
Okay,
that's the way.
perfect. So in the Atlantic, for a refresher, guys, the Leafs were the number 1 seed in the Atlantic last year, where it was
Yes.
Florida at 2, Tampa at 3, and then the
Mhm.
Senators finished 4th. Canadians got in at 5
Yeah.
into the playoffs at number 5, and then it fell to the Detroit Red Wings, Boston Bruins, and then the Buffalo Sabres. Okay, I'll go first if you want.
Sure.
Okay, so I think it's going to be a really down year for both of these teams, but I have to pick one over the other here. I think the Sabres still finish at the bottom of the division. I don't think
Dude,
there's any
that's a crazy
signs.
prediction on the screen. That's a crazy
Oh yeah. Well, if you can't
94
see it on the
points.
screen, someone Jay Fresh, this guy has it at 94
My
points. That's the
God.
dumbest thing I've ever seen.
He
The
might.
Sabres,
You know what? He might be a low key Saber fan. He's just hoping for.
I think
He's
so.
hoping for this.
I think so. So I'm going to have Sabres. It's 8 teams, right? 8 teams?
Yeah.
8 teams. So I'm going to have the Sabres finishing last at number 8.
Hmm.
I'm going to have Boston finishing right above them. The loss of Marchand, and clearly they're in a rebuilding phase. I just don't see them taking another leap. I've got the Red Wings right there with them too.
Hmm.
So I got that as 8, 7, and 6. And top 5, Man, I just think the Lightning finished fifth, and I'll get into afterwards wildcard stuff. So I just think Montreal with the acquisition of Noah Dobson, I just think that they're going to be much more competitive in this division.
I
I've
agree.
got Tampa fifth.
Mm.
I got Florida. I got Ottawa fourth.
Mm-hmm.
I got Florida third.
Mm-hmm.
I got Montreal second, and I got the Leafs
Mm.
finishing in first place. So,
Mm.
and I say
All
that
right.
because Montreal, I
Like it.
think, is just you're including Demidov. You've got Noah Dobson back there. Maybe the goaltending gets a little bit better this year for the Canadians. I think they're going to shock the world this year, and I think they're going to finish top three.
Okay.
I still think Florida makes the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. I just think
Yeah.
with the injuries, it's just going to be tough to go through it a little bit and navigate it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Ottawa didn't really make a lot of changes, and I think they're going to be fine. I'm still on the boat that Tampa's going to fall off at some point. I don't know why. I'm
Well,
still there. 3
them
years
in
later,
Washington.
like 3 years later, I'm still on the boat that I think Tampa still falls off, but I'm sticking
Right.
with my gut here. With that being said, I have Florida as the one wild card team, which means I'll have one in the
Mm.
Metro. Your turn.
All right. So I'll go from 8 to 1. So at number 8, I have Buffalo. That goaltending is atrocious. I just don't see
Yep.
a world where that somehow produces 94 points. I just don't. The only reason they don't finish in dead last is because of Thompson. That would be the only reason I could think of, right?
Right.
And
Right.
it's just, and also with what Alex Tuck is potentially asking for in a new deal with Buffalo. No, I just until proven otherwise, I can't move Buffalo any higher than 8th. So I'll put them at 8. I'll put Boston at 7 because I think that I just
It's
they just
rebuilding.
don't have enough that
No.
really tells me that it's a good team.
No.
So I'll put Boston at 7. I'll put Detroit at 6. And then that's where this gets interesting. I am going to yeah, I'm gonna stick with you. I'm gonna go with Tampa at 5
Interesting. Okay.
because I don't know, they're old, and at some point
They're
this
old.
just this nonsense is gonna stop. If Vasilevsky doesn't have a strong year, it's gonna be a problem for
Yes.
them. So we'll have Tampa at 5, and then at 4, I'm gonna put Florida, and only because I have them as my my wild card team, and then I'm gonna go Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto. That's gonna be
Really,
really
Ottawa
like
too, eh?
I really like what Ottawa's doing. I really
Interesting.
do. And I think that I think what you said about Montreal is how I feel about Ottawa. I think
Okay.
Ottawa is ready to surprise a lot of people. I think Brady Kachuk is going to have himself a big year.
Okay.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And with the goaltending with Linus Olmark, I think Omar proved last year in the later half of the year that, he was the guy that Ottawa thought they were getting when they signed him.
He was, yeah.
And I think that, I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. I think they're going to win a bunch of games that people don't think. That this is going to be a tough team to play against. It's going to be a really tough team. And then Toronto is, even with Mitch Marner out, and I say out, I mean gone. I still think Toronto is very good offensively. I still think they're going to end up being the cream of the crop of that division. Um, I'm really curious to see what Michelli does. Now that he's kind of the Marner
Yeah.
replacement, so to speak.
Yeah.
Really curious, and I'm curious to see how William Nylander and Matthews play.
Yeah.
Without him there, it would be fascinating. So that's
This
my overall prediction.
this just smells like a Toronto division title, which doesn't
It
say a
does.
lot going into the
It's like
playoffs.
it's like Toronto almost not almost by default, but like it's theirs for the taking, essentially.
Yeah. All right. Let's do Metro. So
Oh
again,
God.
just to recap for everybody here, I'm gonna see if I can get this right here. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. We had Washington was first place in the Metro last year. That shocked everybody.
Mhm.
Carolina at 2, New Jersey at 3. Um, I don't
Columbus.
Columbus. Well, Columbus at 4, but
Well,
they never
Columbus
made.
was at 4. I meant to say that
Sorry,
Columbus was at
yeah.
4.
Right,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep.
Sorry.
No,
Okay, keep going.
I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, no, you're
Okay,
good.
yep. So and then it was Columbus afterwards finishing in 4th. You had the Rangers in 5th. You had, I believe it was Pittsburgh 6, Philly 7, Columbus. Or no, Philly was last, right?
Correct.
Yeah, close enough. All right. So we got, I believe it's still 8 teams, right? 2, 4, 6,
Still the
8
same?
teams there. Okay, so I'll start her off here. Pittsburgh dead last. Dead last in this division.
Love it.
Goaltending's in shambles. Aging core.
The defense is
Everybody else in the
incredible.
Metro I think is just better, and I
I
think
agree.
Pittsburgh's gonna have
I agree.
pretty tough year this year.
Yep.
I think Philly's 7.
Hmm.
I think Philly's 7. You can honestly flip flop that. I think with the Islanders, I don't see the Islanders really doing a whole lot here.
Yeah. This sucks.
This sucks. Yeah.
This sucks, dude.
I'm gonna go Rangers 5.
Because honestly, Kyle, there's a lot of mid here. There's a lot
of mid. So sorry. Pittsburgh 8, Philly 7, Islanders 6, Rangers 5. I don't think they gained momentum from last year. Last year was a debacle.
I like it.
I think the Blue Jackets make the playoffs, Neil.
Oh, wild card?
Yep.
I love it. I love
Number
it.
4. I got Capitals 3. I got New Jersey 2, and I got Carolina 1. I love the fact the Jackets make the playoffs this year because with all the crap that happened last year, and I was watching it on Prime, like it's such a tight group there in Columbus. They really are. And I really think they're going to take this next step. I think they got some young guys that are going to surprise some people. I think Fantilli could be one of those guys. I don't know. Something about Columbus is telling me that I just think they're more well built and ready to go. And a lot of the year last year, don't forget, they were without Sean Monahan, who was a big contributor, at least a little bit down the stretch to try to keep their season alive a little bit. And it came down to game 82 because the Canadians got 1 point. So the Jackets really should have been in the playoffs last year. I think they take a step. I like the Jackets making the playoffs this year. I really do. I think they're a better team than the Rangers, and everything else is kind of fluctuated through with Carolina at 1. I got New Jersey 2, and then the Capitals at 3.
Nice. By the way, shout out to, just a side note, shout out to Zdeno Chara. He's getting his number retired this year by the Bruins. They announced it earlier this morning.
Yeah.
I just felt like mentioning that.
Yeah, I forgot about
that. So in the Metro, the division I'm very, very well
very
fond of. Very well fond of. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna put Pittsburgh at 8th. Yeah, they suck. There's just no other way to put that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the Islanders at 7th because I don't know where the offense is coming. I still don't know where the offense is coming from. I don't. I don't know. It's a team that's in a weird spot where they're trying to rebuild, but they're in a weird way where they're kind of not. It's when you're in that weird middle, it creates issues. I'm gonna put Philly at 6th. That goaltending is still questionable. It just will not.
Daniel Vladar now being.
I know. I'm aware. They're carrying 3 goaltenders, I believe. I think they were saying so.
Yep.
We will see about that. At 5th, I'm gonna put Washington at 5th.
Really?
Yeah. I don't. Actually,
and those rookies coming up, guys.
Hold on. I'm changing. No, I'm gonna keep them at 5th.
Really?
Yeah, because I think that their goaltending is overrated. What they were doing last year in net, it made no sense. There's no way that Thompson is that good. I have
he
my
was though, but he was.
I know he was, but then what happened in the playoffs?
Yeah, but still, we're talking about the regular season.
Yeah, I know, but
about the regular season.
At some point, Kyle, that core in DC is not going to be that consistently good.
I do have breaking news.
Oh,
it is officially confirmed that Matt Gridin has made the roster.
All right. There
So
we go.
Gridin has made the opening night
Good
roster
for
for the
him.
Calgary Flames. Both 19-year-olds Zane Parekh and Matt Gridin were recognized in the locker room by Craig Conroy.
I
Huska
love
and their
that.
teammates were there for giving them hugs, saying that they have made the opening night lineup. So forget what I said earlier about Parekh not being on the opening night lineup. Gridin and Parekh have both made the opening night lineup for
There
the
you go.
Calgary Flames. So there you go.
Fantastic.
Congratulations to them. Keep going with your picks.
Yeah. So again, Pittsburgh at 8, Islanders at 7, Flyers at I'm blanking. Flyers at 6. I just went Washington at 5.
Yep.
I'll put the Rangers at 4. I think that they do get back into playoffs, and only because Shesterkin's going to win games on his own, because that's how the Rangers win. But I am curious with now you don't have Trouba, you don't have Kreider, like Panarin's on the last year of his deal. Where we're going to go with that. Third, I'm going to go with Columbus. I think that they actually get in. They're in the playoffs, but I think that they're going to find a way to get into that top 3.
Interesting.
I'm going to go New Jersey at 2, and I'm going to go Carolina at 1.
All right, cool.
105 points for the Devils seems like a stretch, but that's based on. I know what that's based on, like health.
It is.
If they're healthy, yeah, I could see it. But if they're,
yeah, I get
105 seems like a lot.
It is a lot. All right, let's go to the Central here. So last year from the top to the ground, we had Winnipeg.
Yeah,
I believe in first place, and then we had that lovely matchup between Dallas and Colorado in the Western Conference quarterfinal. There
should have been later in the playoffs.
Should have been. Yep. It was Minnesota who finished the top wild card there in 4th in the Central. You had St. Louis in 5th. And then from there on, it was Utah, Nashville, and Chicago. So this is going to play into a factor here with our decision here in the Pacific with the Flames. I'll just keep going again with this little flow that we got going. I'm going to go top down this time.
Okay,
we'll switch it up.
All right.
I think Dallas is 1. I think Dallas is going to finish first in this Central. Winnipeg losing Nikolai Ehlers, I think, plays into a bit of a factor here. I still think they finish probably 2nd in this division. You can flip-flop Colorado, Winnipeg if you want, but I got Winnipeg finishing 2nd, and then I'll have Colorado there in 3rd.
Sure.
Man, I don't see how it is tough because it's so, but I'm sticking to what I said earlier. I still think that I'm saying both of these teams make the playoffs. I still think that I think St. Louis finds a way in.
Yeah.
I still think they do. Wow, this is a tough division actually to think about.
Yeah. It is tough.
I still don't believe Utah have the right pieces to get in. I think it's a really hard division to get in.
They just signed Logan Cooley to a long-term deal today, by the way.
Didn't he reject?
Or no, they offered him a long-term deal.
Yeah, he rejected one first. Yeah. They also lost Michelli as well. Utah lost Michelli. I just don't think they have enough pieces because if they were in the Metro, I'd put Utah in the playoffs, no problem. I think they're good enough to be in the playoffs.
Wow.
Well, whatever.
Damn.
Like 5-4, whatever. I just know I'm saying because I think the Central's that tough. So I don't think Utah makes it just based on that. So I think the 5 teams that we saw in the Central last year, I think are going to be the 5 teams again this year. I don't think you can convince me that Nashville's better. So I'm going to go Dallas, Winnipeg, Colorado. I'm going to put St. Louis at 4. I think they're just a better team than Minnesota. I think Minnesota still finds a way in, even though maybe they have better pieces. But, now you got to make that contract work with Kaprizov. I know it doesn't factor into this year, but they feel like they have the pieces. So, no, bump that. Minnesota's still at 4, St. Louis at 5. Screw that. I'm still going to have Utah above Nashville. I think outside of the top 3 that I mentioned, the Central stays exactly the same, and I've got Minnesota, St. Louis making the playoffs at 4 and 5.
Cool. So I'll do the same thing. I'll go 1 to 8.
Okay.
I'm actually going to put Colorado at 1. I think that they're going to end up being just a tad bit better than Dallas in terms of just the overall consistency. I am excited to see what Mikko Rantanen does in his first full year in Dallas. Now that he's signed long term, he knows that that's where he's going to be.
You bet.
I'll put Dallas at 2. I will put Winnipeg at 3 because I agree with a lot of what you said about, how are they going to, how much different is Winnipeg going to be without Nikolai Ehlers in the lineup every night? We'll have to wait and see.
Bet.
Fourth place, I will give it to Minnesota. Actually, no, I'm not going to. Let's scratch that. I'm going to go with St. Louis at 4. And I think St. Louis makes the playoffs.
Okay.
Again, like they did this past year. I think it's going to be fairly similar. Because I think that St. Louis is on the cusp of really getting going more consistently. And now you got Jim Montgomery in the fold. And now it's just, you got to give Jim Montgomery credit for coming over after getting fired from Boston, coming to St. Louis and getting that team into the playoffs. And getting to the point of losing in overtime of Game 7.
Really should have made the second round. Yeah,
they should have made the second round. They blew it. There's just no other way to put it. So I'll put St. Louis there. I'll put Minnesota at 5. I'll do, and then exactly the way the bottom is, I'll put I'll do Utah, Nashville, Chicago. I got to be honest with you. I don't know how much better or worse did Chicago get. I don't really know where they are.
I can't tell what. I don't know. Like
Bedard's running out of. Bedard's going to sign their long-term contract. I don't know.
Chicago hasn't built a team around him, right. But even then, it's like Bedard hasn't really done much. So I don't know. Yeah. It's tough to it's tough to gauge there in Chicago and Nashville.
Yeah. Keep going. Yep.
No, I was just gonna say with Nashville, you're running back basically with the same team. You're just hoping that it finally meshes. You know what
you're basically hoping that they figure it out this time. But I don't think so.
All right, let's wrap it up here. Last division here. What did you have both teams making the playoffs in the wild card too, or no? Like the
out of the Central?
Yeah.
Yes.
You do. Okay.
I do. Right. So only 3 teams are getting out the Pacific.
All right, that's for context, as we both have that going.
I was going to wait till the end to say that, but there you go. That's my
okay
thing. So,
well, it sets it up a little bit here for the Pacific because it wonders do the Flames get in? So last year it was Vegas 1, Edmonton 2, LA at 3. We had Calgary at 4, Vancouver at 5. I believe it was Seattle 6, or no, sorry, it was Anaheim 6, I believe.
Yeah, because Seattle
really tanked at the end. 7 Seattle, yeah, because they had a high draft pick, and then San Jose finished in last place. So, all right, I'll go bottom up, but I'm also going to leave the 3rd spot and 4th spot open here for dramatic effect. All right.
Okay.
So I actually think Seattle finishes last in the division this year, even with the including of Mason Marchment. Goaltending you can't really trust. I don't know. I just don't. I actually think San Jose is better because they've actually
built
some really good young rookies around.
They added Skinner. They're already better.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So I still think San Jose needs a little bit more work to do.
Yeah.
But I think by next year, they could be a problem. So I like San Jose probably finishing in. I'm going to give them credit actually this year. I think they probably finish in 6th. I'm going to go Anaheim 7 just because Anaheim, I don't know what they're doing. They're getting older guys with Kreider now. It's like you signed McTavish long term. I don't know. Is Gibson?
I don't get what they were. I don't get what they're doing.
I don't know either. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I've got Seattle at 8. I've got Anaheim at 7. I'm going to have San Jose at 6. At 5, I'm having the LA Kings there. Because goaltending, Darcy Kemper ain't no way he's putting on another vessel.
No shot.
With the amount of guys. They lost Jordan Spence. They also added on 5 or 6 guys in their late 30s for whatever reason.
Who did they sign to a massive deal? Was
Corey Perry, Brian Dumoulin, just random older guys. And I just think it's not going to treat it well. And this is going to be the farewell tour for Anze Kopitar. And I think it's going to end in game 82 in its last game of the year. So I think LA misses the playoffs. I just don't. There's no way they've gotten better. I think they've gotten worse. First place, I think it's going to be Vegas.
Oh, you suck.
And I got Edmonton finishing in 2nd.
Okay. Oh, no.
So the question is, who takes the 3rd spot?
Where this is going.
Neil, I got the Canucks making a 3rd spot.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I do because I think that if you just look at the entirety of the roster,
Mhm.
I think at some point Anderson goes for the Flames. I just think that you're
Yeah.
gonna have to have that same type of performance. Like I think like actually where you see the Canucks here where they have 92 points, I think that's gotta be the benchmark here because that's
It has to.
Vancouver ended with like 88, 89, 90 points somewhere in that realm, and they didn't get in. I think that's going to be the benchmark for the Flames this year. You talk about like the 96 points they had last year, like they have to have 2 less losses, but that type of a performance that they had last year, right?
Yeah.
Um, mind you, like Vladar had some really good performances last year to keep them alive. And my worry is that with the backup goaltending here in Devin Cooley, it's like, well, you got to throw him in for 20 games. Is it going to really work out for them? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think I like Vancouver at 3 in full transparency. I think the Flames end up missing the playoffs. I think they're in that mushy middle again. I hate to say it, but I think that's exactly where they end up because they're good enough to make the playoffs, but they're also not good enough to not get in. I think they're right somewhere in that middle.
Sure.
And it to me though, it does not matter who gets in because the matchup in the first round is just going to be diabolical, and you're going to get ran over by Vegas or
It's
Edmonton
gonna
at
be
the 2
tough.
spot. It's going to be tough,
It's
and
gonna be tough.
yeah,
I'm
so
with
I
you.
think those are the 2 kings of the
I'm with you.
Pacific. I don't have the Flames making the playoffs this year.
Okay. Cool.
Take it away.
So same thing. I'll go 8-1. In 8, I have Seattle. I agree with you. I think that like I just don't really see I don't see a direction. That's the problem. I don't see like exactly where they're trying to go.
Right.
So it's hard for me to like really picture them other than towards the bottom and that goaltending. I know Joey Decord's there, but like I don't know. I just think it's going to be tough for them. I think it's going to be really tough. So I'll put them there. I'll put. I'm gonna put. I'm gonna put Anaheim at 7 because I just don't get it.
Okay.
I don't get anything that they're doing right now. I'm gonna put. I'm gonna put. I'm gonna do it because I don't really care. I'm gonna put Vancouver at 6, respectfully. Yep.
Whoa.
Um, I'm gonna put at 5th. I'm gonna put San Jose. I'm gonna put. Where am I? I'm blanking now. Where I'm at.
Whoa. I got to hear the
Who am I
explanation after.
missing here?
LA, Calgary, Edmonton, Vegas are the teams that you're leaving.
LA, Calgary. Okay, I'm gonna put LA at 4. I'm gonna put Calgary at 3. I'm gonna put Edmonton at 2 and Vegas at 1. And that's what I got.
The
This
bigger
year.
question for me is Calgary making the playoffs for you, but
Yeah.
why the hell do you think San Jose is better than Vancouver? And Vancouver at 6? That's what I
Because
want to know.
here's why. This is why. A lot of people will look at last year with Vancouver and say that a lot of it was kind of fluky because of the fact that they, had so much going on with the drama between Pedersen and Miller and injuries to guys like Quinn Hughes and things like that. I just don't see them being. I just think with the amount of pressure that Vancouver has right now to try to appease Quinn Hughes, and certainly they will be motivated. I'm just not buying that this is a really good team because after the top 6, Kyle, respectfully, what do they have?
Sure.
And their
They lost
goaltending, well,
Dakota Joshua, by the way.
sure, right. And while Thatcher Demko was out a lot of last year, he missed a bunch of time due to injury. I'm still not sold on him as much as other people might be in terms of his play. I think injuries are going to play a factor for them. And you have a new head coach too in Foot. And it's like
Fair.
you're
Fair.
making all of these moves, Kyle, and Jim Rutherford said it bluntly. You're making all of these moves to do what? To keep Quinn Hughes from in 2 years' time screwing off to New Jersey. And I'm just going to call that like it is. And
Sure.
it is
Sure. Sure. Sure.
biased,
Sure.
sure, but also like, let's be real.
They want
Like,
to play together.
they want to play
Yeah.
together. And now Luke Hughes is signed long term
Yeah.
with Jack. It feels like the writing is on the wall. I think San Jose is a lot better than people realize because I think they're willing to take next. I don't think they're a playoff team because the goaltending is still whatever it is. Um, it's better. But I really, I hope Askarov plays a lot this year because I think he's earned it.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
I just think that guys like Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith and Tyler Toffoli being Tyler Toffoli because he could score 30 goals and look what he did last year. And I think some of the moves that they made this year, I think have made them a better team. I think overall, I think a more competitive team. I think a tougher team to play against. I think overall, this is a team that I can definitely see making some noise. And really, I could see them being not like Calgary last year, but kind of similar in where they're winning some games that maybe we didn't think that they were going to win and maybe have some surprises. But I still think they're another year away from being like, a team that we really have to,
To
watch
worry
out
about.
for.
Yeah.
Right. And then with
I
LA,
could see this being a statement year for San Jose, saying like
exactly.
we're
It's
creeping,
the
like we're
year where
almost
they're going
there.
to decide okay, this is who we are and this is what we're going to be moving forward.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go from there. And Warsawski, I'm still like not fully like on board with, but again, I think he, it's year 2, right? And now
Right.
let's see what we got. Now the excuses are out the window. Now it's like we got to start seeing better results.
So
And I think we're going to.
So the last thing then is you have the Flames making the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Why?
Because of 2 reasons. One, Dustin Wolf. I really do believe that Dustin Wolf is going to steal games this year. I think he's poised to have a very strong season because now with him being locked up and him clearly, he showed last year how much of a number 1 he is. And how many times last year, Kyle, did we point and say Dustin Wolf was a huge reason we won the game?
Almost
Like
every game.
almost every game, right? But then there's this thing. I would argue that I think the goal scoring is going to be better this year. And it's going to come from some
Really?
of the
Okay.
guys that we looked at last year. I think that I really do. I believe this wholeheartedly that Matthew Coronado is going to be much more consistent this year scoring wise. I think now that he's got the long-term deal and the capability, I really do. And I think that yes, they didn't really make a whole lot of moves this offseason. I think that this is an even more motivated group than it was last year because they realized that, hey, despite everything, we were that close, literally that close. We were in the playoff hunt till the last day of the season, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think that's worth something. I think that shows that this team can get to that point. And you're adding some young guys like obviously Gridin, and you're adding,
Parekh.
Zach as well, Parekh. And I think they're coming together more. I do. That's just how I feel. And maybe I'm thinking more with my emotions than maybe my head.
Okay.
But that's just like how I kind of see it going down, right? So like that's the thing. I could be totally wrong. And I will, I will take
one of us is going to be wrong.
right. I will take full, acknowledgement of being wrong. But I don't know. I just seem to have a little bit more faith than maybe other people in this Flames team. But I do agree though that
and in the community too.
Right. With Anderson eventually going to be gone, what will the Flames get in return? Maybe they get somebody that can help them.
It's possible.
And look, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, Kyle. But maybe, just maybe, if the Flames are having the season that I expect them to have, maybe that convinces Anderson that, wait a minute, let's stop.
Parekh won't be happy.
Right. And that's like, it's maybe. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's how I'm going to go with this year. I'm going to be wrong about every prediction I made today. I know
That's okay. I'm in the same boat too.
Know it. I just know that Columbus is going to win the Metro because why not? And it'd just be unfair. And Washington will still be 100-point team just cause,
And they'll still surprise people. You bet. Yeah. So that's pretty much going to do it for us today. Wednesday is going to be opening night for the Flames, as again, both Zane Parekh and Matt Vigrini both made the playoffs. Again, very quickly too, the Flames will be without Jonathan Huberdeau and Martin Pospisil for their opening night in Alberta. So
my prediction is already looking rough. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So no Pospisil's, Huberdeau is still considered day to day, and I think Pospisil is kind of in the same boat.
Yeah.
Expect that they'll more than likely, it's just more or less a precautionary thing, but they'll be out of the lineup as Gridin and Perek will make their debut for Wednesday night in Alberta. And then they'll have a home game, I believe, on Saturday coming up against St. Louis for their home opener. So
We're right
season
there.
kicks off this week.
It's
Season
happening.
kicks off tomorrow. We're back. And
We'll have regular season action to talk about in the next episode.
And we could be right or wrong. Can't wait.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good rest of the week. And we'll see you all next Monday for some
Later,
regular
guys.
season games reviews. See you guys.